Hey everyone, welcome to 5 More Minutes, the show where two friends relive their childhoods or, in some cases, learn about everything they missed out on. I'm Kendra.
And I'm Scott.
Hell yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am. And that's not changing.
I was just opening my jokes in case I needed them.
I got a few.
Well, I have a few too.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. By all means.
Oh, I thought we were both going to do them.
Well, I mean, you can go first.
Okay. How did the soup lose its job?
I don't know.
It got canned.
Wow.
What bird has the worst manners?
I don't know.
A mockingbird. I really showing through the green screen because of the fan. Okay. Why were the police suspicious of the blinds?
Not sure.
They were shady.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow. Okay, I'll throw a few your way too.
Hell yeah.
What did one plate whisper to the other?
I don't know.
Dinner is on me.
But then what's on the other? But then what's on the other plate?
Maybe dessert. Who knows?
Oh.
How do you stop a bull from charging?
You hold a red thing up and wave it.
I think that makes them charge, Kendra.
It does.
You cancel its credit card. Duh.
That's not where I was going with that.
Yep. Okay, one more.
Okay.
What did the baby corn say to the mama corn?
That it was a corn cutie.
Where's popcorn?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
That one made more sense than the credit card one.
Yeah. I was checking my shoe tracking earlier for my CrossFit shoes, and they're coming from FedEx, and I just feel like FedEx sucks.
They do.
And like,
so bad.
I don't understand how the shipping just never gets updated.
Yeah, they go from like, oh, we just shipped it to, oh, it's on your doorstep. There's like,
yeah, no, and it's like coming from Texas. Why is it taking a full week? I don't know.
You better hope it doesn't go through Troutdale, Oregon, damn it.
I know. I mean, I don't know if people steal things or they go lost, but I feel like it's not a known brand, so I feel like it's less likely to get stolen.
Yeah.
But I just want my shoes.
Things have been better through that location on my last few pairs, so maybe they're figuring it out. I don't know.
That's good. I feel like most of the stuff I order doesn't come through FedEx.
Mm-hmm. It's Adidas. Adidas directly sends through FedEx. So any Adidas stuff I get does. Because Nike is UPS, and UPS is very good.
Yeah, I need to get those. I mean, I know that Nike running shoes don't last as long when you're wearing them a lot, but those like really wore out fast. Like I had a pair of Pegasus shoes like 5 years ago or something when I was like actually running, and they lasted a lot longer than 4 months.
Yeah.
But like the inside is all like worn. My feet have been like killing me the last like 2 walks I've gone on. If I want to get a pair of nice ones again, I need to wait because I bought a lot of shoes this month.
Yeah. Them shoes, man, they're killer.
I might try a different Hoka pair. I think the last pair just didn't fit my feet good, or I need to do research to see if I just need to get like a size smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But because they were comfortable, I want to do Bloomsday, so I should get like an actual pair of running shoes. But
yeah, probably need something for that.
Yeah, but my Brooks lasted a really long time. Like I put a lot of miles on those. Anyways, in my next edition of complaining about teenagers, going back to how everyone expects them to know how to use technology, but no one taught them how to.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many issues. Like today, I made a scavenger hunt for them for their pre-writing. So instead of me like talking about all the stuff or having them like copy down like notes, I made a worksheet that had 6 steps, and there was something they had to do to like get the next link they needed to answer the questions. Because they're reading a Sherman Alexie book, so it's all stuff about like the Spokane Indian tribe and stuff. Because like when you're a student in North America, pretty much all you learn about Native Americans is the white perspective, which is very wrong. So they didn't know like all of this stuff. But so the first thing said, once you're done with this, tell me the answer to the second question and I'll give you the clue. And the clue was to scan the QR code on the wall that faced the direction of Spokane.
Okay.
I have a wall that faces north. But they all just tried to scan all the QR codes, even though nothing said to scan a QR code. And two of them were Rickrolls.
Oh, really?
So they were like frustrated. They had like 40 minutes to do this and one person finished out of 30.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, this should not take this long, guys. And they could work on it together, like in their table groups. They just needed to, like, everyone needed to write it down. And then they needed to, and then I have this kid who has a Samsung who says he can't scan QR codes. And it is different on Samsungs because I looked it up. You have to like access something from your quick settings or something. Like you can't just use your camera on a Samsung.
You can. I do.
His must not be able to because he showed me. Like he held it up to the QR code and nothing was happening. But I saw that there's like a thing you can access from your little swipey down screen or something. So his must be on there. I wonder if there's like a setting you can turn on or something. I was like, probably. You have a literal smartphone. You can scan a QR code, dude.
Yeah.
And then for Bitleys, they don't know that you have to capitalize the letters. And then the other issue is that a bunch of people, again, mostly people with Samsungs, one person with an iPhone. So like I have this shortcut that I put on my phone, this widget for Google searches, search Google. They were trying to type the Bitly into here. So it was just taking you to search results. And I was like, no, you need to type it in. Like, even though this says search or type URL, a Bitly won't work on it. Like it needs to be your actual web browser. And they were like, what do you mean? This is my web browser. And I was like, no, this is Google search. Like do you not have like an internet app on your phone? Like you need to open like a browser. And I don't think they know what browser means. So this girl like opened her folder of apps and she was like, oh, like Chrome. And I was like, yes.
Yes, that.
But like, they just like, and I was like, this should not be this hard. Like, I know that it has like steps, but it's much better than listening to me talk and taking notes. And like, I don't know. There were 12 things they had to answer on 6 different sites and they were working together. And I just don't understand how like no one finished.
Yeah, that's really rough.
Like everyone did just kind of expect them to know how to do things. Like no one taught them how to do anything. Because like everyone just assumed that like, oh, Gen Z, they grew up with technology. They know how to use it, but they don't know how to use it. But yeah, like some of them don't know how to like use email or like do anything on a Word document. I'm like, you can literally go into your templates and search MLA and it will give you one. And they're like, what's a template? I'm like, bruh.
Well, I also don't understand, like, I think you've talked about it before, but the unwillingness just to like search it online. It'll tell you the answer. Like,
I don't think that they get that.
Out.
Like, I'm like, for the first question, I purposefully did this. I was like, for questions number 1 and 2, Google the answers. Because if you just type them in, like, because I was trying to get them to like practice that. And then like last year when I taught a book, I was like, listen, like, I know some of you aren't going to read the book, but you need to come to class knowing what the chapters are about. And they were like, oh, we're going to do that. And I'm like, it's literally on the internet. Like you can look up chapter summaries for like every book. And they're like, what? It was like, this is how I got through 5 literature courses at once. Like,
well, it makes you like wonder what they do on their phones all day. Are they just on TikTok and that's it? Like
TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. That's like all I ever see them doing.
Because I mean, we're like using it to like, you know, search stuff and like use it for actual smartphone things. And they're just like, no, this is just a small TV.
Yeah. Like literally like, or they were like on YouTube or watching like Netflix or something. Like I'm just like, and like, I'm surprised that Snapchat is still so popular. Like they all use it.
Yeah. It really hasn't died because that was really popular when we were in college.
Yeah. It's literally been like 12 years or something since I made a Snapchat. And then like the other day, yesterday I was talking to my students and I was like, yeah, like you guys get to go home on early release Wednesdays, but we have like 3 hours of meetings. And sometimes I just like sit there and I do whatever because it's boring. And one of my students was like, oh, do you play Angry Birds? And I was like, I have not had Angry Birds on my phone in 10 years. But apparently that's making a comeback now too.
That's so weird.
And apparently they keep calling it retro. And I'm like, retro is not 10 years ago. Retro is like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Like retro for me was like 1950, like 40 years before I was born.
Yeah.
Like
and I mean, retro games now are like,
and like, Nintendo. I don't remember thinking something from like 1995 and 2005 was retro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just so confused at their way of thinking. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, they over exaggerate everything. And then one of my students, like, who comes in my room every day, who's not even in my class anymore, I said something. What did I say? I don't remember. I said something about like what year my freshman year was. And he was like, that's the year I was born. You're so old. And I'm like, you realize that a lot of your teachers are like 10 to 20 years older than me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not that old.
You're but like, I'm kind of a young teacher.
Yeah. And then sometimes people ask me how old I am. And they're like, whoa, you're 31? You don't look that old. And I'm like, I guess that's good.
Yeah, you say that. And then like just the other day, I was having a meeting. One of our guys from the headquarters office came up and we were meeting with a client. And someone said like 1976. And he looked at me. He's like, you probably weren't even born yet. And I was like, probably. How old do you think I am? So it's like, I guess it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, I just don't understand what happened. Like, whose fault is this? I don't get it. Like, I really don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'll always point it back to the parents just dumping their kids in school and then bitching out teachers. That's usually my go-to.
Yeah. So. But then also, like, I feel like part of it is because, like, there's so much stuff teachers have to do that, like, they shouldn't have to do. So then the kids don't actually learn. And we have to, like, teach the test because, like, we want kids to pass the test. And the test is, like, so not, like, I can make English applicable to your life if I can teach it the way I want to. But if I have to teach you how to pass a test, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's really, really annoying. And then, like, our admin told us today that we needed to, like, make our goal, like, a 90% pass rate. And we were like, how can we do that when, like, 30% of our students don't come to class?
Yeah.
Like, there's literally no way for that to happen. Like, especially in your, like, junior and senior year, the attendance is, like, so bad.
Yeah.
Like, one of the other teachers was just like, I have, like, a 40 or 55% attendance rate. Like, that's so bad.
Yeah, and I mean, is there just like no enforcement on what can be done about that, or are they just like
no? Because the truancy thing isn't legal anymore. It was also kind of outdated. There was only like 4 states that were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The Becca bill or whatever.
But it just seems like parents, there's no punishment for anything anymore.
Yeah, well, that's because people will get mad and then they sue you. So
that's what I'm saying. It's the parents. It's the parents.
Yeah. I feel like we don't actually have that many issues for like. I feel like people would think that we do, but like we don't. But, like, I don't know. Like, I don't have behavioral issues, so I don't know how kids get punished. I've literally, like, never really had behavioral issues, but I think it's just because I'm kind of, like, whatever. Like, I have high expectations, so you have to do my work, but, like, no one ever really, like, misbehaves. I mean, they'll, like, talk while I'm talking and stuff, but I've never had anyone, like, get in a fight or, like, scream at me or something.
Go crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, this has been fun. Maybe we should just have a complain about work podcast.
Yeah, right. That'll be the spinoff, just complaints corner every week.
Yeah. We can have all of our friends on so they can complain about their jobs too.
Yeah, there'd be no shortage of content.
Yeah. That could actually be interesting.
Yeah.
Could make people feel less alone.
That's true.
Yeah.
Do you have job problems? So does everyone.
I feel like I need to sneeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should probably start talking about this episode. We've been rambling for like 13 minutes.
Woo! Perfect timing to get into it then.
All right. Well, I've watched this movie now like 2.5 times because
because you watched it for class.
Yeah. Well, and I watched it a second time. I watched like I didn't finish it yesterday when I rewatched it, but I was like, I'll put it on while I make the notes so that it's because the first time I watched it, I didn't make my notes because I thought it would be good for me to not be on my computer.
Yeah.
And then I showed the first half of it to my class. Although I will say that they're really pissing me off. I only have one elective class all year. And my projects are kind of like more fun. There's like options, you can make like a podcast or a vlog or like whatever. Like I didn't assign any essays last year, but I think I might assign an essay because they were pissing me off. Like this class has like 28 students or something, and maybe like 5 of them were watching the movie. There were some of them who were talking almost the whole time, and then the rest of them were on their phones. And at the end of class, they started like packing up with like 5 minutes left, even though we were watching a movie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you guys are doing a really good job of showing me that like you don't need to watch movies in this class. So like maybe we should reevaluate that tomorrow. Because like we can read stories for everything. We don't have to watch movies. Right. And I think I'm gonna assign them an essay for their unit project and give them 2.5 days to do it. So
nice. Payback.
That's what they get.
That's what they get.
We're talking about Warcraft, the 2016 movie. Showing it from a class because it's high fantasy.
Oh, it's high, all right.
Yeah, so am I.
Whoa.
And I'm having caffeine.
Holy cow.
But anyways, I have a blurb here. Most of this blurb was from Wikipedia because it gave a good overview.
Wikipedia.
Warcraft, alternatively known as Warcraft: The Beginning, is a 2016 action fantasy film based on the video game series and franchise of the same name. What? Never heard of it.
Whoa, you've never heard of Warcraft?
Yeah, what's that?
It's this crazy MMORPG that tons of people play in their mother's basements.
Whoa.
That was a little harsh. I know a lot of people that actually play it normally.
Yeah, it's pretty pops, man.
It is, yeah.
Also, something that I just said made me remember that one of my students today was like, do you know how to make a Whataburger? And I was like, what? Like 3 times because I was like, what? And he was like, because your name is in it. I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah, that's not spelled the same way.
Yeah, it's my student who I don't have anymore who comes in all the time and asks me weird questions. So one who asked me what type of bread I was and what my biggest weakness was. And the other day he was like, Miss, do you give in to temptation? And I was like, you need to evaluate what types of teachers or questions you're asking.
What are you trying to get out of me?
Yeah, I was like, I mean, if someone's like, do you want this ice cream? I'm like, yeah. So like, is that what you're asking? Like what? Anyways, the film follows Anduin. How are they saying that? Anduin?
Anduin, yeah.
Anduin. Lothar of Stormwind and Durotan of the Frostwolf clan as heroes set on opposite sides of a growing war. As the warlock Gul'dan leads the horde to invade Azeroth using a magic portal. Together, a few human heroes and dissenting orcs must attempt to stop the true evil behind the war and restore peace.
Snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That probably didn't get picked up on the mic, but whatever. So this was originally announced in 2006.
That's crazy. That long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
With a partnership between Legendary Pictures, which I didn't really make a note of, but
I mean, they're big.
I'm assuming that's a pretty
logo.
Big one. Yeah. But that's one of the biggies.
Yeah, it's like the Celtic knot logo.
Yeah. And Blizzard Entertainment. Warcraft didn't premiere until 2016, like I mentioned, and was released by Universal Pictures. So there was some stuff that shifted there. It underperformed domestically, which we'll talk about a little bit, but it still had a big gross. We're not at that stage yet. I'm not going to talk about the totals.
Yeah.
But it is the highest grossing video game adaptation of all time.
Oh.
So it did better than other things.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
was that just at the time? Because I feel like there'd be
between 2016 and now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because there's been like Detective Pikachu and like other things like that were based on video games, I would think.
That's true. It says as of 2022.
Oh, okay.
Pokemon is the highest grossing film franchise based on video games. So there's more than one movie. Warcraft only has one movie. So I think that might... It says
that's all they're going off of.
Detective Pikachu, though, did make $6 million less dollars.
Oh, okay.
So, okay. That was on there. That was there. I clicked on it. Brought me to it.
Look at that.
So Blizzard originally wanted it to be set in the universe of Warcraft, Orcs, and Human, which I think is the original game from 1994. I don't know that much about WoW, but
the actual game, yeah.
But I think that's probably the original one. I think I clicked on this yesterday. I just didn't write it down.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just clicked it and it says
Orcs and Humans. Yeah.
Look at that.
But yeah, so the setting was later dropped because Blizzard decided it would be too similar to Lord of the Rings. And so it was initially scheduled for 2009. So that would have been 3 years after it was officially announced. And then by Comic-Con 2011, it was still announced to only be in the development stage. I want to go to Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, it'd be dope.
So Yui, or I think that's how you say his name, Boll, Boll, wanted to direct the movie, but was turned away by Blizzard, who claimed to have said, "We will not sell the movie rights, not to you, especially not to you, because it's such a big online game success. Maybe a bad movie would destroy that ongoing income, what the company has with it."
Okay.
And so I looked up,
hating on this guy, huh?
Yeah, I looked up who he was. And he has, I think, more like horror stuff. It says the horror movie Black Woods, which I've never seen, and then Heart of America. And he achieved recognition for loosely adapting video games into movies, including House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark 2, Blood Rain 2, Blood Rain, the third, I hate that word, but you know what I'm saying.
Reich?
Yeah. In the Name of the King, In the Name of the King 2, In the Name of the King 3,
it's big
Postal,
on sequels.
and Far Cry.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah. And the movie Seed also. Have you seen that?
No.
That also looks kind of creepy. Blackwoods is a psychological thriller set in the Blackwoods, the titular Blackwoods, if you will.
Sounds up my alley.
Yeah, so we should look into some of these because I mean, he seemed like he was pretty well known, so it was weird that they didn't want him to do it. Seed is about a reclusive and antisocial boy who was disfigured in a school bus crash that killed everyone involved, and it's set in the 70s. And he begins torturing and murdering people.
Okay. Well,
and his body count is 666.
Whoa, that's a lot of bodies.
Yeah. Also the devil number.
Whoa.
But anyway, so it seems like he's done pretty good work. So it's weird that they were just like so like
against
him. Yeah. And I mean, some of these things probably came out like after that initial. I mean, he had movies that came out before, but yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like the wording seemed like so harsh that I was like, what?
Yeah.
So they don't like Yui.
No, they do not.
And then they had someone who was originally supposed to direct, but they replaced it with Duncan Jones. And do you know whose father is his?
Tommy Lee Jones?
No. It's random.
Oh.
David Bowie.
What?
Yeah, David Bowie is the dad of this director.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the original guy, they replaced him in 2013. So he must have been on board initially, but left before they even got into any filming. I had to reread this. I was like, wait, Jones took over and his father, David Bowie, died from cancer late in production. And I was like, wait, what? Like,
wait a minute. What's going on here?
Yeah, I was like, what am I reading? So, you know, maybe Jackie will like, you know, I don't know, want to watch the movie or whatever.
Maybe she'll know who he is.
Yeah, maybe she knows all about Duncan.
But
apparently he immediately voiced his displeasure about the script and stated it was stale fantasy, or the stale fantasy trope of humans are the good guys, monsters are the bad guys. And with Blizzard's approval, he altered the story so that it appears more 50-50. But also at the same or like while he was filming, so like right after he took over, his wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, and then at the end of production, his father died from cancer. So like, a lot of stuff going on during that.
Yeah, fun time in his life, I guess.
Yeah, he summed it up to the New York Times by stating, "My film started and ended with cancer."
So pleasant.
And then at San Diego Comic-Con, In July of 2013, a concept trailer was presented featuring a battle between a human and an orc.
Trying to showcase some stuff. Still can't believe that was so many years later.
Yeah, like it literally came out 10 years after it was announced.
Yeah, crazy.
It's a long time. That's kind of like the second Avatar movie.
Yeah, if that ever comes out.
All right. So the budget was 160 million.
Okay.
That's pretty good. That's like what I think the first Lord of the Rings was like 45 or something. Like it was. I was like I compared it to something, I think, at some point. Opening weekend, it earned 24 million. And then the gross worldwide was 439 million.
Okay.
And the gross worldwide for Detective Pikachu was 433.
So close.
Yeah.
No cigar.
And I go, what, like 2 or 3 years apart in age, or when?
Yeah.
But anyway, so already talked about that it was directed by Duncan Jones. And what's actually interesting to me is that he hasn't really directed anything. And then I was like, well, why didn't they want the guy who had actually directed stuff to direct? I was kind of confused by that. Because it seems like in all of these movies, they pick people who... What? It seems like they pick people who haven't really done a lot. Like, he's directed 7 things. And
probably get him for cheap.
And they are a David Bowie concert.
Solid.
Whistle, Moon, Source Code, Warcraft, Mute, and Rogue Trooper. Now, how many of those things have you heard of?
Rogue Trooper, that's not Star Wars, though, is it?
It says pre-production.
Oh, so maybe it is. But that would be the only thing on that.
It's based on a science fiction strip in the British comic 2000 AD.
So, no, I don't know anything.
Yeah. I don't know what my dog is for.
Going crazy, man.
She's being weird. I gave her peanut butter, but she probably already ate it.
Probably.
Yeah, and the movie art for that looks really weird. Judge Dredd.
Just whack.
Anyway, so yeah, I thought that was weird. It was written by Charles Levitt and then Jones, obviously, because he made script changes. Charles Levitt, he's written like 11 things. I haven't really heard of any. Oh, Seventh Son. I actually almost decided to show that to my class. It's a high fantasy movie. It looked okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Just okay.
Hard to find high fantasy movies that are less than like 3.5 hours long, and I didn't want it to take 4 class periods. So.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Okay, so there was kind of like 10 main cast. So I'm gonna speed through that. Travis Fimmel plays, and obviously none of these people, except for the humans, really look like themselves. So.
Yeah.
But Travis Fimmel played Anduin. He's in Vikings.
Oh yeah, he's Ragnar Lothbrok. I recognize him right away.
I never watched that really, but I knew you had, so I noted it. And he was also Tarzan in the live action TV series, which I kind of like know existed, but like definitely forgot about. And it was the first thing he was ever in.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Paula Patton plays Garona. She had 29 acting credits, but nothing really notable. Ben Foster played Mediv. I don't know if I'm saying the names right.
Mediv.
Yeah, that's how I said it in my head, but then I didn't say it out loud. He had 61 acting credits, nothing really notable. Dominic Cooper, I literally don't know how they were saying the names, because even though I watched the movie, I feel like I was like not paying attention to names. But this one,
he was just Lane.
Yeah, but it's got 2 L's and it threw me off.
Yeah.
But he plays Howard Stark.
And he is the main character in Preacher on AMC.
Never seen it.
Yeah. I've watched a few seasons. It's not bad. It's interesting. Weird.
But he also plays he doesn't play Abraham Lincoln, but he's in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which I watched.
Never seen.
And I think I bought the book, but I never read it. I'm a big fan of Abe.
Abe Lincoln.
I feel like I would probably like that show. Like, it's probably got a high percentage. If it was on Netflix and it showed like a percentage, it would probably. I don't know. I just have had a hard time watching TV shows lately. Like there's been a few like Midnight Mass and and like the new season of like The Witcher and Stranger Things and stuff, and then like Umbrella Academy, where it's like powered through it. But I've had a really like, even if I like it, I've just had like a hard time like watching TV. Toby Kebbell played Duratan, and he was in Planet of the Apes, like all of them, and then he's also in Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay.
Ben Schnetzer played Khadgar. And he was in The Book Thief. I'm pretty sure he was the main character. I've never read that, but Megan really liked it, and I'm pretty sure that was the main character's name, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
He did look a little familiar.
Yeah. And then he was in Snowden.
Oh.
Like not Snowden, like Snowden.
Yeah.
Robert Kaczynski played Orgrim. He was in True Blood, Pacific Rim, and Captain Marvel.
Oh, not too bad.
Clancy Brown was definitely like the biggest name. He played Black Hand. He had 317 acting credits, which was like the most out of any of them. Now, I would like you to guess which popular cartoon character he voices.
A popular cartoon character.
Mm-hmm. Very relevant to your family.
My family.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like something that like Jackie likes, Dakota likes, they all like, they send memes, they quote episodes.
So it must be One Piece, or is it SpongeBob?
Yes.
Okay. Who he would be in that, I have no idea.
Mr. Krabs.
Oh my god, really? that is
yeah,
random.
He's in like every SpongeBob thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, what?
Guess that's your little cash cow.
Yeah. He was in a lot of stuff though. Shawshank Redemption, Starship Troopers, Cowboys and Aliens. Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff.
Nice.
And then the last main person, Daniel Wu, who played Gul'dan. And I literally wrote, why is this guy's name familiar if I don't recognize anything he's been in?
Oh. Oops.
And yeah, because I was like, oh, that guy's name's familiar. I bet he's been in something I've seen. And then I like looked at it and I was like,
nope.
No. And then I'm like, is there someone else with the last name Wu? I don't know.
Maybe. Like, I mean, I'm sure there is.
I don't know. I just typed in actors with the last name Wu, and apparently there's a show called Wu Assassins.
Wu Assassins.
Nice. Yeah. Anyways, I thought that was, the Mr. Krabs thing. We're really hitting everything Jackie likes in this episode.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly, so.
Out of left field. Shots are coming everywhere.
Hell yeah. All right. And then I was gonna kind of scroll through the trivia that they put on IMDb. A lot of the people who worked on the show, so like the lead visual effects supervisor, is apparently a longtime WoW player and would get up at 2 a.m. to raid with his guild while on film sets. And then one of the actors, Robert Kaczynski, is also a diehard player and recalls producers telling him to turn the game off while on the set of Pacific Rim.
Dude, stop playing. You're on a movie.
Yeah. An Orcish dialect was created specifically for the movie.
Oh.
Life-size weapons and suits of armor were built for the orcs, despite the orcs being played by actors via motion capture. And it was mainly for photographic references.
Oh, I was like, yeah, why would you bother?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's strange.
It says the source for the movie adaptation is being taken from the books Rise of the Horde. I didn't realize that there were books for WoW, but there are.
Oh, dude, yeah, there's so much stuff for
WoW. Or maybe I probably have seen them, but like it never really mattered to me.
Yeah, I never really paid attention.
It was also supposed to be released in December of 2015, but was pushed back to avoid the release of Star Wars Episode 7.
They didn't want to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Probably makes sense.
Because, I mean, the Force was awakening, so that's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
It went through 20 months of post-production.
Jeez, that'd be exhausting.
Yeah. Duncan Jones said that the Warcraft universe is very high fantasy, or in other words, very eccentric, and plans to make it feel more grounded in reality.
Huh. Mm-hmm. His best.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Apparently, Colin Farrell was approached for the role of Lane.
Oh.
But he was not cast.
You can kind of see that.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably most the good one. It took 123 days to film. It's random. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. And its runtime is 2 hours and 3 minutes.
Snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's too many of those to keep scrolling. I didn't know there were that many, so when I clicked on it, I was like, "Oh, this will be fine. I'll just like read through them." Oh, This is funny. Daniel Wu's performance as Gul'dan, whatever, earned him the rank of number 2 kiss boy on the internet.
Kiss boy? What does that even mean?
I don't know.
I don't know if I want to know what that
I'm gonna Google it.
Number 2 kiss boy. He played this.
If you search number 2 kiss boy, it literally shows him.
What?
Yeah, I just typed in number 2, and those are like the only results.
So does it explain what the heck it is?
That's because I had it in quotes. So okay, there's more things. What is a kiss boy? Answered. Boys, what are desirable in regards to kissing? A nicer version of a fuckboy.
Okay.
Maybe so a more PG version of rent boy.
So they just like the way you look.
Yeah, they wanted to make out with him, but not fuck him, I guess.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Weird. The internet.
For a second, I forgot my internet skills and forgot that if I searched something in quotation marks, it was going to search for that exact phrase.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so... What?
You good?
The very last trivia, which is like 2 below that one, which is why I saw it. No person or entity associated with this film received payment or anything of value or entered into any agreement in connection with the depiction of tobacco products.
Okay. Well, sometimes you just gotta know.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyways, so that was the trivia. Did you want to talk about like the general your thoughts, whatever? Because that's kind of where I ended my notes before the reviews, because I figured we would just talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can I'll just kind of give a brief overview, but
you're better at those.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially the movie, we kind of start on the orcs and they're in like a dead, dying world and they want to go somewhere else that is not dead. So the creepy number 2 kiss boy decides to open a portal.
Yeah.
With his dark death magic and send warriors through it to go take a new world. So they get transported to this Azeroth, this other world where the humans are, and they start ravaging and pillaging and doing all this stuff, bad things. But they're collecting all these prisoners alive because the creepy death number 2 kiss boy's magic sacrifices life to use it. So they want to capture them all alive. So that's where kind of our main guy, Anduin, comes in. He's like the royal guard for the king and the city. And they send him out there to kind of figure out what the heck's going on and how to stop it. Along the way, he captures this half orc who is, God, what was her name already? I already forgot. Ghidorah or something like that.
Gorona or something?
Gorona, that was it. They capture her. She's an outcast because she's half orc and half what I assume to be human because she looks normal still.
She was like a lot smaller too.
And she has these goofy little tiny orc teeth that bothered me the whole movie because they just looked weird. So they capture her to figure out what's going on, and then she becomes sympathetic to their cause. The whole time during this orc raiding and pillaging, the Frost Wolves clan with our main guy, Duratan, they're kind of like the good orcs, quote unquote. They're like, hey, I don't like what we're doing here. This death magic that this guy is using is like killing everything around us. So it's like, we're just going to do the same thing we did again. So they want to stop him. So they kind of betray their own orcs and side with the humans. And then, during all of this, there's weird stuff happening with this. They have this guardian guy who's like a huge deal sorcerer who kind of is like protector of the realm, I guess. And so he's helping them along the way, but then they find out he's been poisoned with the death magic, so he's a bad guy too. So general shenanigans ensue, and our main characters basically have a war at the end. And it all comes to a head. But
there's a lot of stuff going on. There were some times where, because it was like switching back and forth between like the humans and the orcs, and then like the weird mysterious like magic that was like floating through, and like the weird visions. There's kind of a lot going on.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. And so I guess this would be the point, if we get any random listeners that still want to watch this movie, to not come from this forward, because I'm going to go into spoilers. The parts I had a problem with were like, I don't know if they were trying to be super edgy like Game of Thrones and just kill everybody, but why did so many people die? Like all of the main characters almost died. So multiple problems. The good orcs, they had a son that the evil guy revived because it was stillborn in this new world. But anyway, so they have a kid. They're the only ones that have a kid.
Has the spirit of a deer.
Yeah, right, whatever that means.
Sucked the life from one creature and put it in the
oven. And he turned very green, like much greener than the rest.
I gotta send you this video. I'll have to send it to you on Facebook. But I like rewound the movie so that I could take this video, and then I sent it to Megan and Nisa with like no context, because it was just real funny.
So those two have a kid basically.
Yeah.
And so she's protecting it the whole time. He's out, kind of turning against his kind, and feeling guilty about what they're doing to this world. And then basically all the orcs turn on the good clan. They're like, nah, you're turning your back on us, you're going to humans, we're going to kill you. And so they chase her out of the camp, and then she straight up puts the little baby in a basket. Like she straight up Moses the kid and puts him in the river and sends him away. And then she instantly dies after, like, but one orc kills her. I was like, what was the point of her dying? There didn't seem to be one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was really weird. Like, I feel like not passage of events, but like the flow of events kind of in some parts was kind of like weird.
And then, so after that, I don't remember if Duratan, the guy good orc, I don't know if he even learns that she died. I don't think he did.
Wasn't he there though? They were holding him back.
No, I don't think so. Because he was like otherwise preoccupied. Because remember, the other guy came in and freed him after, and he was like, "Where is she?" And he's like, "She's safe. She got away."
Oh yeah.
So it's like he didn't even know, but he decides to confront the war chieftain on one-on-one combat against his death magic, because he's like, "Oh, these orcs don't want to listen to how evil this guy is. I'm going to show him how evil he is." And they fight, and obviously the guy uses his cheeky death magic to kill him. And then all the orcs around that watch are like, "She's cheating, boo boo," or whatever. And then all of a sudden they're like, "It's time to go to war for the horde," and nothing happened. It's like, you acknowledge that he's a bad guy, he killed a good guy, and you're still following him into war. Like that happened before the war. That made no sense to me, because it's like, why did he die then? He died for nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
There were some like weird things, and I don't know. Also, well, some of the stuff is in the reviews about like the way they were fighting, and how like some of their fighting stuff didn't make sense for like blocking or something.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then I definitely feel like they were trying to go with like the retro look for the orcs, but I felt like the CGI and the graphics looked weird for a 2016 movie. Like it wasn't bad. It's not bad like the D&D movie was, but like it just kind of seemed like it didn't like match or like fit.
But because I had that same thought, and I think in my head I go back to Avatar from 2009. that had crazy good CGI. And I looked up the budget for that. It was like 237 million. So, I mean, a little more than this, sure, but it was years before this one, you know? So that I agree, though. There was something like you could tell they didn't belong.
Yeah, especially once they started, once they started interacting with like the humans and stuff, it just seemed like almost like unblended or something. Like the humans kind of stood out in like a weird way to where it didn't seem like I was actually like watching it in real time, which is I feel like what a movie is supposed to do.
Yeah. And I guess before I lose my train of thought, getting back on these unnecessary death things, I forgot that the main character's son, he's in like, you know, the Royal Guard, he's training up. He dies too when the orcs are, you know, trying to figure out who betrayed them. The evil wizard locks him out in a barrier and then the orcs just kill him. So that's another death that really, I mean, the main character, it showed him like drinking and being, you know, depressed and shit, but it didn't last that long because then he just turned around and, you know, got back into it. And then in the final battle, the king is there and he's fighting with everybody. And Garona is also there fighting for the humans, the half orc. And at some point he turns to her and is like, you have to kill me. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, only if you kill me will there be peace or whatever. And so she ends up stabbing him, kills him on the battlefield. All the orcs celebrate her for killing, you know, their chieftain is what they were saying. But then the main character flies in on his griffin anyway, sees the king is dead.
I also thought the griffin looked kind of weird.
Yeah, it did not look right either. But he sees that the king is dead, and then he challenges the other chieftain to one-on-one combat. Not the magic user guy, the other guy, like Black Hand, the guy poisoned by the magic and all crazy. He challenges him to one-on-one combat, kills him in one shot, very like quick, not exciting battle at all. And then they all just let him go because he won. So by doing that, you're telling me that if he had came there 15 minutes earlier, did the same thing, they wouldn't have had to kill the king? Like, why? What are we doing here?
It also felt like some of the stuff seemed like it was going to be the end, but then there was still like 40 minutes of movie left.
Yeah.
Like that battle, because I think that battle happens at like 1 minute and 20 or 1 hour and 20 minutes, I think, because that's kind of where I paused it yesterday.
Unless I paused it, that was sooner. Pretty close to the end.
Maybe I paused it sooner. Maybe that scene is just really long.
It is, yeah, it is really long.
Because I must have paused it at like the beginning of it then.
Yeah, so then at the end you have all these dead people. Only the half orc lives, and the orc horde will kind of listen to her because she killed the king. So she's like, oh, okay, we have to respect the humans, blah blah blah. But the dark dead magic guy, wasn't he still alive at the end? Like they didn't kill him off.
Yeah,
he was still there. So they're just like, oh yeah, he's fine, let him go.
Like I know that they were trying to like overtake a new world because they couldn't live in theirs anymore, but a lot of it just didn't really seem like there was a point.
Yeah, it felt like, well, that was what I was feeling with the deaths too. I was like, there's no point to any. It's like, what is the point?
Yeah. I don't like it when it's hard for me to follow the plot. Like I lose retention. So like I know a lot of like the random things that like happened in this movie, but like I think that's like when we watch like the not as good movies, it's harder for me to like actually talk about what happens in the movie because I get distracted by things that don't make sense or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like I get stuck on things and then I can't like process the actual events of the movie. Yeah.
Because there was like a whole nother like little spinoff where the main character and the other little mage guy were trying to kill the guardian, the poisoned mind sorcerer. So that was all going on too, but
is that what which guy is it that has like the kind of dream thing where they're talking to the lady? I think it's a lady. It was one of the people with like the dark magic or something. It was like someone telling them to do something. They were kind of having like a dream. At least it seemed like a dream.
Oh, yeah. I think that was the main bad wizard because his mind was poisoned with that death magic.
Yeah, like basically like a warlock being like controlled by someone. But like, so that was just the higher being that he was getting the dark magic or the death magic from.
Yeah, because then there was at one point where they went and like confronted the quote unquote, you know, dark magic. You remember when that like lower mage guy went to that weird world and there was just that weird floating black box that he walked into, and there was like an entity in there. It's like, this this is the only vision I can show you right now, but blah 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 blah. All that felt like so pointless. It was like convoluted. And
I mean, this is definitely better than some of the other movies we watched, but
yeah,
at least in like the D&D movie, we knew what the quest was more.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem. I guess the ultimate motivation is obviously one gets a world, the other one lives.
Yeah.
So I understood that part, but it was like,
wait, but who got the world?
It felt like there weren't that many.
I'm confused about who won, I guess.
That's just it. I don't think anybody did because they're both still there. I think it's supposed to kind of set up like, okay, the orcs are here now. They're here to stay. We have to like learn to live with them in the future.
Yeah. And whatever. Then, so watch the video I sent you.
Is it on my phone?
It's on Facebook. Because that's the only way I can send you videos, I think, that work.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. The freaking little green baby. Oh, my God. Yeah, and they were like trying so hard to set up the next movie for that little baby floating down the river.
And they said it was basically like Moses being put in a basket and put in the river. And but who put him in the river? Because his
mom did.
Okay, I was so confused, but like, where is she trying to send him?
She didn't know. She just put him in the river.
I didn't understand like the purpose of that. And then he's like found by humans, right? So like, is that supposed to be like an integration of like the orcs into the human world? But I thought that his creepy little like smiley face at the end was like really funny. That's like how I took that video because I was like, that is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like there weren't any stakes. Like everyone who died was like a plot hole, and I was like, you could have got away with not doing that. Like, yeah, you can kill a couple main people off if you want that little, if you want something to mean something, but it just felt unnecessary at the end. They were just also, like, you die, you die, you die.
I just rewatched that, and he looks like Baby Grinch. Like, if you watch the movie The Grinch, and it shows you like the flashbacks of him trying to grow up with the Who's. That's literally what it looks like. Like the Jim Carrey Grinch, not like the cartoon.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I just felt like they left it pretty ambiguous at the end on purpose, but it was just, I don't know. I kind of got to the end of the movie and I was like, okay, it's done now, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely picked it for my students because it's a good example of what a high fantasy is, but
yeah,
it's not that great of a movie. But most of them don't pay attention, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. The other problem I had was you have this supposedly elite King's Guard that this guy's leading. But it's like they'd never fought before, like except for him. Like his whole squad got like their ass handed to them and killed by the orcs in like one hit, and he was the only one that did anything. So I don't know if it's just like they're supposed to be like, oh, there's too much peace, so they can't fight. They don't know how to fight real enemies or whatever. But then like, how does he know?
Yeah, I just looked up to see if they were still supposed to make like a second one because it was supposed to be called The Beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it says that in 2019 development started for it. But then like the pandemic happened, obviously. So there's not like nothing's been like officially released or announced. And it says that if they do make a second one, it'll likely turn into a reboot instead of a sequel since it performed the best in China.
Oh. Yeah, I hear, you gotta pander. I don't want to say pander because, but you gotta have at least that consideration on how things are gonna do in China now. If you want a big movie, it like has to be good over there.
Yeah. I don't know. Kind of weird.
So I don't know. What rating would you give it overall?
I don't know. My rating scale is broken. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it wasn't like bad, but it like wasn't good. Like it was kind of like in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an 8, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
I mean, only movies so bad you should watch them are 8s.
Of course. Makes perfect sense. I don't know,
maybe like a 6 or a 5.5 or something.
Yeah, I was probably hovering around like the 4 range. Probably give it like a 4. Because I mean, it's not like terribly made or anything, but it just, I don't know. It didn't really elicit any response in me. The plot seemed like that director said, it almost seemed like, we've seen this before. People come in, try to conquer, fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know they had a certain aesthetic that they were trying to follow with Warcraft. All the Kingsguard had really bulky armor on and things like that. But it just made it feel like the armor was really fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. On Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter is 29% from 235 critic reviews. So it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
But the audience score is a 76% out of 25,000 ratings.
So that's not terrible.
That's probably the highest audience score out of all the other movies we've looked at.
Yeah.
The critic consensus is Warcraft has visual thrills to spare, but they and director Duncan Jones' distinctive gifts are wasted on a sluggish and derivative adaptation of a best-selling game with little evident cinematic value. And I feel like pretty accurate.
That's pretty fair. Fair assessment. I agree.
Yeah. Even so, like some of these movies, like you might also like, that are probably not good. Like I've never watched the Divergent movies. I've read the book or the books, but like I wouldn't expect that to be a good movie. And even that has a higher critic rating. It's 41%.
Wow. Yeah, that tells you a little something.
Yeah. I picked out some IMDb's.
Nice.
So one of them was in the 1-star category, but it was rated 0 out of 10.
Oh, they couldn't give it a 0.
Yeah. From a Warcraft 2 fan, this movie stinks. Cheesy, wooden, slow, formulaic, amateurish, the list goes on. I expected Easter eggs, inside jokes, and fan favorite units, but all you get is plot device, heavily scripted dialogue, and boredom. The action consists of really slow battles, no special creatures, again, lots of dialogue. I stayed, hoping to see creatures and scenery, but got neither. You really can't have CGI characters unless they're fantastical and expressive, like a golem. Too bad the real actors in the film give dull performances as well. 0, oh, actually, nope, O out of 10, not even a 0, just an O.
An O, yeah. As in O?
Yeah, so that was from Alex Vaisworn.
Snap.
Yeah. All right, so the 1-star. Clearly watched a different movie to everybody else. Yeah, so I'll receive many glares at this review, but I can only be honest with my opinion here. Having watched this movie and upon ending seeing hundreds of people around me applaud it left me in total bemusement. Perhaps I was over expecting for this movie, but besides the really well-made CGI, I was left in utter disappointment. I mean, how can we as movie lovers and somewhat part-time critics actually completely ignore that this movie was not well made? I get that we're lovers of Warcraft and its massive franchise, as well as having been so attached to its characters for so many years, just as I have been. But to say that the movie was brilliant is absolutely misguided to the fact that the movie was one of the worst I have ever seen in any movie ever made. Not only that, but there was little to no thought at all put behind fight scenes. Did we all watch the same movie, or am I missing something here? Surely fight choreography could have been taken seriously, ? Having spent loads of money on CGI, why not add a little diversity to a battle? Whoever swung a sword first would defeat his opponent. 0 blocking, 0 shields used. Why did any of them have shields anyway? Scenes were rushed in and rushed out. The rookie mage was so badly played by someone who can barely act. Please rewatch the movie and look at his facial expressions or even his acting skills, for goodness sake, ! This disappoints me because it was like, okay, we're going into this movie and we're just going to love it because it's Warcraft. We've been waiting for this all our lives. Give me a break. The potential this movie had for so much more is crazy, and yet we all turn a blind eye to what matters most about a movie: spectacle. All because we're thinking emotionally. Sorry, but I enjoy watching a well-made movie, and this movie was far from well-made. #not sorry.
Damn, calling them out.
Yeah. All right, I got a 5-star.
Nice middle ground.
Yeah. Overambitious and flawed. Orcs and humans try to find common ground both on and off the battlefield in this sweeping, large-scale attempt to bring Blizzard's best-selling video game to the big screen. Am I doing a good announcer voice?
Not bad.
Okay. The thing I appreciate most about this effort is its even-handedness. Unlike Lord of the Rings before it, there's an admirable amount of gray shading on each side of the struggle and a very small number of either irredeemable or infallible characters. The menacing orcs, towering and tusk-mouthed, worry about their children and maintain honorable traditions within their own ranks. Their human counterparts show trepidation and uncertainty, nearly coming to blows as they debate their defense strategy behind closed doors. This makes the simmering war feel more two-sided and honest. No faceless horde of pitch-black bad guys here. Unfortunately, that meditative tone never allows the plot to gain much steam amidst so much pontification. It's overstuffed with characters bearing complicated names that might be familiar to fans, but only blur together for the uninitiated. There's probably enough room for 3 or 4 really good character arcs, but instead the narration hops around to cover more than a dozen. The acting is stiff and wooden, whether provided by flesh and blood humans or fully CG orcs, which probably has a lot to do with the abundance of stilted dialogue. In a lot of ways, it feels like the first disc of a PlayStation-era RPG. A whole lot of setup and world building, a few mini-bosses, and a surprise death or 3. Maybe a good teaser to keep us on the hook for the next chapter, but only the earliest hint of a resolution. Overambitious and flawed, it's an effective CG showpiece, but far too slow, wordy, and self-important for its own good.
Yeah, I mean, that tracks. I agree.
Yeah, I think that's what maybe my issue was with the CG, because it wasn't like bad CG. I just felt like the stuff didn't match.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it. Something just didn't seem like.
It wasn't like close enough to realism that when they were standing next to a human, you could be like, I could see it. Yeah. Instead, it was like, I know this is not.
Yeah. All right. 1 8 out of 10. Is the video game curse broken? First off, I would like to point out Duncan Jones has made another fantastic flick. Better than Source Code, but me personally, I loved Moon. I don't know, maybe his movies are good and I just had never heard of them.
Maybe.
So Warcraft isn't good enough to beat it, lol. So everything about this movie felt right. And I would like to point out this movie is about the Warcraft storyline, first game, not World of Warcraft. The acting was good, the pacing was great, the CGI was amazing. Gul'dan was an awesome villain. Never heard of Daniel Wu, but I feel like he will be voice acting more characters soon. I love how they wear that ridiculous armor that a normal person can't stand up in. Well, no shit. Lothar has an amazing main character, and I only know Travis Fimmel because he's in the show Vikings, but I feel like if the rest of the critics like this movie, this could be his breakthrough movie. If there is a sequel, then I would definitely go and see it. And lads, the video game curse is broken. Hopefully, Assassin's Creed will live up to the hype. Fans will love it. People who like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit will love it. Just regular people who have never played WoW will love it. All in all, I think that the hype was well worth it, and it is definitely going to be a recommend for me. After you have seen Captain America, go see Warcraft. You won't regret it.
All right.
I had 2 10 out of 10s. This one's kind of long. My cheeks hurt, ...
Okay, which cheeks, sir?
But was I thankful for it. All through the movie, I kept on having this big, large smile sculpted into my face. For the record, I'm 25 years old and I have played Warcraft and WoW for many years since I was 13 or 14 years old. Ever since then, I haven't stopped playing. Therefore, you can count me as a fan. Now on to the movie. Gosh, I saw it at a pre-screening and I kept wanting more of it. It just never gets boring. I really enjoyed that little stuff that is found throughout the movie for the fans. I also incredibly enjoyed the intro sequence. Those who argue the movie cuts too many parts or that it changes the story too much are totally wrong. This movie could not have shown the whole first time in its entirety. It's kind of weird. Keep in mind that the lore lasts well over 10 hours. Making a movie this long would, well, make it way too long. And besides, how would you financially sustain such a project? Okay, so there are changes in the movie. Well, this is Duncan's vision of it. All of us have our own visions and lore and books, which may or may not be compatible with that of Duncan's, but I can safely assume that nobody can say they have 100% the same vision of the story as Chris Metzen. That's the thing with story. Each player or reader has a different vision of it. As for me, I was blown away. Never before have I felt so much at home in a movie. It is as if I had taken a walk in the town where I grew up. Stormwind, Goldshire, Ironforge. Everything felt so much like home. I was moved. I cannot tell of another movie that had me shed tears just by seeing a landscape on screen. which is funny because the other person said there was not enough landscape.
Yeah.
As for the changes, well, I found good reasons behind all of them. And let me tell you right away, yes, maybe coming from a fan, it will look like absolute hearsay, but I enjoyed the story a lot. The actors were great. They were into their characters. And for the first time, I had never seen orcs in such detail before. Hulky, robust, terrifyingly, but also relative. Quite frankly, I can't wait for the next movie. In the meantime, I'll watch this one over and over again when I can. This movie has everything that a good movie needs to have and more. Plus, it just might bring more people to actually play WoW. Parents, maybe some scenes will frighten your kids, but this movie has almost no blood, even though it has a good share of battle, and the foes are undeniably evil. Plus, it has good values in it. Friendship, courage, responsibility, sacrifice for a good cause, and the belief that anyone can help to change things. That will go down in history as being one of the best ever, for sure.
For sure.
Oh, that person really liked it.
Yeah, they did. Wow. Rant and rave.
The last 10 out of 10 is much shorter. Warcraft fans, Lord of the Rings fans, fantasy fans, and even non-fans, all caps, go see this movie. You will love every second of it. Hello, first of all, I have to tell you, I am a Warcraft fan, and I had no expectations from this movie at all. I am not a Blizzard fanboy, and I know when they do something poor and when they do something good. If you like the cinematics that they make, and if you like Lord of the Rings like me in fantasy, you will absolutely love this movie. I was really scared about this movie being another video game movie chaos, not by a landslide. Warcraft is astonishing. The visuals are groundbreaking, the acting is very strong, and the emotional involvement between the viewer and the movie is breathtaking. The familiar zones from Warcraft universe are all and are built exactly how they are supposed to be. How they are supposed to be built. Every Warcraft fan will feel like home and on the brink of shedding tears. What is up with these people crying? I will watch this movie again in 10 June, and this must not be an American person, and gather all my friends that were not lucky enough to see it yet and go again. Maybe twice. I need more. There has to be more Warcraft movies. Duncan Jones working alongside with Blizzard was a genius move, and it shows throughout the movie. Almost 2 hours of pure awesomeness. 10 out of 10 from me. All caps. Go see this movie. You will not regret it. Space! Exclamation mark.
Wow. Very enthusiastic.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't write down. Let me go back to IMDb because I think the IMDb average was like at 6.7 or something.
I'm on IMDb randomly right now because I saw that it had two awards. One of them, best sound editing. And then the other, worst film of the year.
That's quite the difference.
Yeah, a little bit. So those are the only two it won.
The St. Louis Film Critics Association. I wonder how much standing that has.
Yeah.
But yeah, the average review or rating was 6.7 on here. So.
Okay. Well,
well, where's that thing at that gives me the grid with the age ranges? Because that's always really interesting.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, if you click on the number. So let's see. It's actually pretty even. The highest category was women, 30 to 44, 6.9. But women also had the lowest category under 18, though there's only 6 though.
Oh, yeah. Drags it down a little bit.
But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty evenly spread compared to most of the movies. And in some of the other ones, it was like a much higher number for like the older people. And so I was wondering, since like slightly older people would have been playing WoW than like our age range. Mm-hmm. But it looks pretty evenly split. So
yeah,
it had more 7 stars out of anything. So
7. Yeah, pretty average.
I don't know. There's lots of movies based on like video games and stuff that we should watch. Like I'm pretty sure that Kristen Honzik played WoW a little bit. So I think I like watched her play it, but I never like, I don't know. This computer like isn't really, I mean, if I had the bigger memory.
Oh, for playing games and stuff.
Playing games, but.
Yeah, I got to level 7 and one WoW character once because I played on AJ's and I made a character. But that was it. That's all.
Nice. Yeah, I thought about downloading it during grad school because my friend Ricky from Florida, he played it still, and I was like, man, I like always wanted to play that, but like, I mean, especially on my other laptop I had, it wouldn't have run well. So
when I was in college on the club baseball team, our little shortstop like religiously played, and he was like one of the top aspects, like rated healers in like, like the online standings. And he was telling me that he was working with guys that wanted him on their team, and they were like offering to buy him a car and stuff.
Dang.
Yeah.
I went wrong.
It's so weird. So that was interesting to learn about, because he was like telling me like the mechanics of it, and I was like, "Ooh, this is all way over my head, buddy."
Yeah. I don't know. I do feel like if I had like a reason to like have a second computer, like maybe I would try it, but I just don't think it would work super great on this one. So
probably not.
Just if like Zoom overheats it.
Yeah. That's some other demands.
Yeah, it's wild. I felt like I was waiting for our conversation to get done to say something that was relevant. I don't remember what it was, so.
Well, we may never know.
I lost it, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have other things to say?
Not really. I did start watching the Dahmer Netflix thing that came out the other day.
Oh, so yeah.
That's been interesting. Give it a watch. Only if you like that kind of thing. It's kind of, disturbing and a little gory and things like that. But it's
also weird how much people like idolize him to some extent.
Yeah.
There's like one of the other crime podcasts that has hosts that are similar age to us, like the one I listen to, that like a lot of people have stopped listening to because of the way that their like fan base and them sometimes make comments about people
like how amazing serial killers are. And things like that.
Where it's kind of like, you probably shouldn't say that, or people like naming their cats like Dahmer and stuff.
Yeah.
And he has like so much more weird like merch based item. I mean, it's not his merch obviously, but like
right.
There's there's so much more stuff I feel like for him than like any other serial killer.
Yeah, and he's like one of the most fucked up ones.
Yeah, and I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand what it about him. Was he good looking? Well, Ted Bundy was good looking, but
for a serial killer, he was good looking. Yeah, he looked like better than like Richard Ramirez and stuff like that. But I think Ted Bundy probably looked a little better than him. But they were from different eras,
Yeah, I mean, he's a little bit. Is he older than Ted Bundy?
Yeah, well, because he got caught in 91. He was born in 1960.
Oh, so Ted Bundy is.
Because Bundy would be older, right?
Yeah, older than him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just interesting when I was listening. I never finished the Parcast series. I think I listened to Ted Bundy, Kemper, and then I was on the Jeffrey Dahmer episode. And I mean, I've listened to other podcast episodes about them, but it's hard for me to keep straight things when I've listened to like 300 episodes of a podcast. Like it all kind of runs together. But it was interesting how they were talking about like how the effects of like, so even though it looks like Ted Bundy's like 14 years older than him, but they're still growing up in like the first 20 years after World War II, and like how much of a role that probably played on not only that, but then like their abusive like families, especially Dahmer, who was like gay, but had very homophobic.
Well, father. I mean, most people at that time.
Yeah. But like definitely more intense. Because like in his age range, there would have still been like a lot of hippies and things like that. But and he was like raped or something by like his dad's friend, or like sexually exploited somehow or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Parcast ones are a little bit more they're more scripted, so it's a little bit easier to get like the facts a little bit more like straight. I mean, I like the podcast I listen to and like their banter and stuff, but for like retaining, it's a little bit easier when it's
like
the Parcast one. And they actually have they actually started their, or Parcast hired them for like a show. So it's interesting to listen to like a 40-minute episode of a podcast by them each week, and then like a 2-hour long podcast episode by them each week. But
yeah, about rituals, and I mean, I know a lot of people are like, very interested in like the serial killer thing, me included. Like, it's fascinating, but
just
there's
like the
a
psychology part too. Yeah, where you like admire them to some extent, or
but you shouldn't like make it your whole
identity.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh my gosh. I don't know.
It's kind of weird. I don't know. Yeah, I think the psychology part of it is more fascinating. Like, I think being a forensic psychologist would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 7th grade me who really liked CSI is still sometimes like, dang, you should have done like forensics.
Yeah.
Just probably how come I keep doing things like scavenger hunts, because I like solving puzzles. But
yeah. So, but that otherwise, that's all I got for now.
So watch murder things, and also like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Download our episodes, leave us a rating or review. Follow us on our socials at 5MMPOD. I've actually been trying to post more on TikTok, but I keep missing my Instagram reel window because I have to do that in the morning and I'm at work. Use the hashtag 5MMPOD. Send us an email to 5FIBE@gmail.com, and share us with your friends and family, your friends who are your family, and your family who's more like friends and family. And go to bit.ly/5MMPOD to look at our blogs and stuff.
Look at our blogs. We get some extra traction on there. We'll make you some new ones,
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess other than that, we're clocking out till next time.
Peace.
See ya.
I mixed it up that time.
Oh yeah.